Time seemed to freeze in the central dome. 3,000 Valerians held their breath. 40 guards kept their weapons raised but did not fire. Warlord Kraxus stood perfectly still with Hana's weapon pressed against his spine. The detonator was still in his massive hand. "Do not move," Hana said quietly. "My weapon is set to maximum power. At this range, it will go through you and hit the detonator. If the detonator is damaged, the bombs might trigger. So we all stay very calm." Kraxus's mind raced. He was a veteran of hundreds of battles. He had survived situations that seemed impossible, but he had never faced anything like this. 6 humans had destroyed his entire operation in less than 30 minutes. 6 against 400, and somehow the 6 had won. "Your move, Warlord," Hyun said calmly. "You can press that button and kill everyone, including yourself. Or you can surrender and live." "I know which one I would choose." "You are bluffing," Kraxus said. "If I die, the dead man switch activates anyway. You cannot afford to kill me." "True," Hyun admitted, "but we do not have to kill you. We just have to make you wish you had surrendered." He looked at Hana. "Can you disable the detonator without setting it off?" "Working on it," Hana replied. Her free hand held a small device that she pressed against Kraxus's armor. "His detonator is transmitting on a specific frequency. I am jamming that frequency now. In about 30 seconds, his button will not work anymore." Kraxus felt the detonator grow warm in his hand. He looked down and saw the indicator light flashing red. The device was being blocked. These humans had thought of everything. He was not just defeated. He was outsmarted. Slowly, he lowered the detonator. "I surrender." The moment he said those words, his guards lowered their weapons. The tension in the dome broke like a wave. The Valerians began to make their crystalline singing sound, a noise of relief and joy. Some collapsed from the stress. Others embraced each other. Jin, Kai, and Yuna entered the dome through the main entrance, weapons ready in case any guards tried something foolish. But the fight was over. The mercenaries knew they were beaten. "Secure all prisoners," Yun ordered. "Tae, check the hostages for injuries. Hana, disable those bombs permanently. I want triple confirmation that they cannot explode." "On it," Hana said, already moving to the control panel. Her fingers danced across the keyboard. Line after line of code scrolled past. She was not just disabling the bombs. She was tearing apart the entire explosive system, making it impossible to reactivate. Tae moved among the Valerians, checking for injuries. Many were dehydrated and scared, but physically unharmed. The crystalline beings reached out to touch him as he passed, as if confirming that he was real. A Valerian child approached him nervously. "Are you really a Deathworlder?" the child asked through a translator. Tae knelt down to the child's level. "Yes, I am from Earth, but that does not mean I am bad. It just means I am strong, and I use that strength to protect people like you." "Thank you for saving us," the child said, then hugged Tae's leg. Other Valerians nearby began to approach the humans, their initial fear replaced by gratitude. In the council observation room, the observers sat in stunned silence. They had watched the entire operation unfold. 6 humans had infiltrated a fortified position, destroyed a mechanized war walker, neutralized 400 enemies, and rescued 3,000 hostages. The casualties? 0 deaths on the human side. 0 deaths among the hostages. Only the mercenaries had losses, and those had been surgical and precise. "I have never seen anything like this," one observer said quietly. They were perfect. Every move calculated, every shot precise, no wasted effort. Thora felt something she had not expected. Pride. Not for her own species, but for these humans who had proven every prejudice wrong. "We need to reconsider everything we thought we knew about Earth." Back on Talus 7, Hana completed her work. Bombs disabled, all of them. The system is completely destroyed. Nothing can trigger them now. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. "Good work, everyone. Mission accomplished." But his attention turned to the prisoners. The 40 guards and Warlord Kraxus were being held in a secure area. Some of the guards were injured from the fighting. Hyun expected them to be angry or defiant. Instead, they looked confused and even frightened. "Tae," Hyun called. "Check the prisoners for injuries." "Sir?" Tae asked, surprised. "They are the enemy." "They were the enemy," Hyun corrected. "The fighting is over. We treat prisoners with respect. That is what separates us from people like Kraxus." Tae nodded and moved to help the injured mercenaries. At first, they flinched away from him. They expected execution or torture. That was how most species treated defeated enemies. But Tae worked gently, setting broken bones, sealing wounds, providing water to those who needed it. One mercenary, a young fighter who could not have been more than 20 in human years, looked up at Tay in confusion. "Why are you helping us?" "We tried to kill you." "Because you cannot hurt anyone anymore," Tay replied simply. "Because you are injured and I am a medic. Because it is the right thing to do." The young mercenary started crying. In all his time with the Krenth Syndicate, he had never seen mercy. Violence was met with more violence. Defeat meant death, but these humans were different. They were capable of terrible violence but chose restraint. They won with overwhelming force but treated the defeated with dignity. Warlord Craxus watched this interaction from his holding area. He had fought across the galaxy. He had met hundreds of warrior species. He had never seen anything like humans. Their strength was obvious, but their mercy was incomprehensible. He called out to Hyun. "Human, I wish to speak with you." Hyun approached the holding area. "What do you want, Craxus?" "I want to understand. You could have killed me dozens of times. Your sniper could have shot me from a kilometer away. Your demolitions expert could have blown up the entire dome with me in it. But you did not. Why?" "Because killing you was not necessary," Hyun said. "Our mission was to rescue the hostages. You were an obstacle, not a target. Once you surrendered, you stopped being a threat. There was no reason to kill you after that." "But I have killed thousands across the galaxy," Craxus said. "I am a monster. I deserve death." "Maybe you do," Hyun agreed. "But that is for a court to decide, not for us. We are soldiers, not judges. We capture criminals. Others decide their punishment. That is how justice works in a civilized society." Craxus looked at this human, smaller than himself but radiating quiet authority. "You are from a death world. You should understand violence. You should embrace it." "We understand violence very well," Hyun said. "We understand it so well that we know when not to use it. Yes, we are from a harsh world. Yes, we are capable of terrible things. But being capable of something does not mean we must do it. We choose to be better." Craxus was silent for a long moment. Finally, he spoke again. "When I stand trial, I will testify about what I saw here today. The galaxy should know the truth about humans. You are not monsters. You are the opposite. You are what warriors should be." Hours later, the Galactic Council ships arrived to take custody of the prisoners and begin evacuation of the Valerians to a safe world. The Council representatives who came to the surface were amazed by what they found. The colony was secure. The hostages were safe. The mercenaries were imprisoned but unharmed. Everything was organized and calm. The Valerian Council Elder, a being named Crystallis, approached Omega Team. The Elder's crystalline body glowed with emotion. Through a translator, Crystallis spoke. "We owe you a debt that can never be repaid. You risked your lives for strangers. You fought impossible odds. You showed mercy even to those who showed us none. We were told that Deathworlders were dangerous. We were right. You are dangerous to evil, dangerous to cruelty, dangerous to those who prey on the weak. But to the innocent, you are protectors and friends." Crystallis presented each team member with a small crystal, taken from the sacred mother crystal of the Valerian people. "These crystals are our highest honor. They represent protection, courage, and compassion. You embody all of these qualities." Yuna accepted her crystal with both hands, bowing slightly. The gesture seemed to surprise and please the Valerians. Kai smiled warmly at the Elder. Jin said nothing but nodded with respect. Hana looked close to tears. Tay held his crystal like it was the most precious thing in the universe. Hyun accepted his crystal last. "We are honored, Elder Crystallis. We hope this is the beginning of friendship between our peoples." "It is," Crystallis assured him. "The Valerians will never forget what you did. We will tell our children and our children's children the story of the 6 humans who came when no one else would." Lyra, the engineer who had been rescued first, approached Yuna. The two had formed an unexpected connection during the mission. "Will I see you again?" Lyra asked. "I hope so," Yuna replied. "The galaxy is big, but maybe our paths will cross again." "I would like that," Lyra said. "I want to learn more about humans, about Earth, about how you became so strong." "We did not become strong by choice," Yuna said. "Our world made us strong because we had to be. But we chose to use that strength to help others. That choice makes all the difference." As the Valerians were loaded onto evacuation ships, they lined the walls of the colony, their bodies glowing in the dim light. They sang their gratitude song, a sound unlike anything the humans had heard before. "Understood," Kai replied, placing explosive charges on the tower's support structure. He worked quickly as 0400 hours arrived like a thunderclap. Yuna fired her first shot. 800 meters away, a guard on the communications tower fell without a sound. Before his body hit the ground, she had moved to her second target. Another shot. Another guard down. She worked methodically, her rifle becoming an extension of her will. 6 shots in 8 seconds. 6 guards eliminated. The 7th guard heard something and turned. He saw his companions falling and opened his mouth to shout. Kai appeared behind him like a ghost, one hand covering the guard's mouth while the other struck precisely at his neck. The guard went limp. The 8th guard tried to run. Kai threw his knife with perfect accuracy. The guard collapsed. Targets down, Kai whispered into his comm. Planting charges now. At the power station, Jin moved first. His heavy weapon opened fire with controlled bursts, each shot hitting exactly where he aimed. 3 guards fell before the others realized they were under attack. Hyun came from the opposite direction, his movements fluid and precise. Together they created a crossfire that the guards could not escape. The firefight lasted less than 2 minutes. 20 guards against 2 humans should have been an easy victory for the guards. But these were not ordinary humans. These were special forces operators from Earth, trained in violence since childhood, forged by a harsh world into perfect weapons. The guards fell one after another, their superior numbers meaningless against superior skill. Power station secure, Hyun reported. Moving to armory. Below the command center, Hana and Tae had reached their access point. Above them, 4 guards sat at their stations, monitoring screens that showed nothing alarming. They had no idea that death was beneath their feet. Tae moved the access panel aside slowly, making no sound. He emerged into the room like smoke, his weapon raised. 4 quick shots. 4 guards down before they could react. Hana climbed up behind him, moving immediately to the control console. I have access to the explosive system, she said, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. But it is worse than we thought. It is connected to Kraxus's biometrics, heart rate, brain activity, everything. If he dies, the bombs go off. If his heart rate drops too low, the bombs go off. If his stress levels spike too high, the bombs go off. So we need him alive and calm? Tae asked in disbelief. How do we capture a warlord and keep him calm? That is a problem for later, Hana said. Right now I need to isolate his detonator so he cannot manually trigger the bombs. Her hands moved faster. Almost got it, almost! Across the colony, alarms began to sound. The Krenth Syndicate had finally realized they were under attack. Mercenaries poured from barracks, weapons ready. But they did not know where the attack was coming from. They did not know how many enemies they faced. All they knew was that their guards were dying. Kai finished planting his charges on the communications tower. Fire in the hole, he said calmly, pressing the detonator. The tower fell exactly as planned, crashing down onto the automated defense turrets below. Metal shrieked against metal. Sparks flew. The colony's external defenses went dark. Defense grid down, Kai reported with satisfaction. They are blind now. Warlord Kraxus stormed into his command center only to find his guards dead and his systems compromised. His reptilian features twisted with rage. He was 3 meters tall with scales like armor and claws that could tear metal. He had fought across 100 worlds and killed thousands of enemies. But he had never faced humans before. Find them, he roared into his communicator. Find whoever is attacking us and bring me their heads. His second-in-command, a hulking creature named Groth, responded nervously. Sir, we have lost the power station, the armory, the communications tower, and the defense grid, all within minutes. I do not know how many attackers there are, but they are very good. How many? Kraxus demanded. Unknown, sir. We have found no bodies. They are like ghosts. Kraxus's eyes narrowed. Then he remembered something. A rumor, a warning. Are they human? The silence on the other end told him everything. Activate the War Walker, Kraxus ordered, and move all the hostages to the central dome immediately. We use them as shields. If these humans want to be heroes, let us see how heroic they are when civilians are in the crossfire. Deep in the colony's underground storage, something massive began to power up. The War Walker was a mechanized combat unit, 15 feet tall, covered in armor plating and equipped with enough weapons to level a building. It had cost Kraxus a fortune, but he had kept it for emergencies. This qualified as an emergency. Hyun received the alert from Hana. Captain, they are moving the hostages to the central dome. All 3,000 of them? And they have activated something big. My sensors are picking up massive power readings. The War Walker, Lyra's voice came through the comm. The Valerian had been listening to all communications. I saw it when they first arrived. It is a mechanized battle unit. Very powerful. Very dangerous. Can we fight it? Hyun asked. I do not know, Lyra admitted. I do not know if anyone can fight that thing. Then we find out, Hyun said calmly. Team regroup at Rally Point Delta. We have a new problem to solve. The 6 team members converged on their designated meeting point, a small canyon overlooking the central dome. From their position, they could see the hostages being herded inside by armed guards. The Valerians moved slowly, their crystalline bodies reflecting the artificial lights. They looked terrified. Then the Warwalker emerged from the storage facility. The ground shook with each step. Its weapon systems tracked back and forth, searching for targets. The council observers watching from safety gasped at the sight. It was a monster made of metal and rage. Well, Kai said, looking at the massive machine, that is definitely a problem. Can you blow it up? Hyun asked. I can try. But that armor is thick. I would need to get close, plant charges in weak points. Joints, probably. And the pilot compartment. Yuna, can you damage it from range? Yuna studied the walker through her scope. Maybe. If I can hit the sensor arrays, I can blind it. If I can hit the joints, I can slow it. But I cannot destroy it with bullets alone. Then we combine approaches, Hyun decided. Yuna, Kai, and Jin will engage the walker and draw it away from the dome. Hana, Tae, and I will use Lyra's maintenance tunnels to reach the hostages from below. Hana disables the bombs, Tae and I secure the hostages. What about Kraxus? Tae asked. We take him alive if possible. Those bombs are tied to his life signs. We need him breathing until Hana can fully disable the system. And if we cannot take him alive? Jin asked. Then Hana better work very fast. The team split up again. Jin, Kai, and Yuna moved to engage the Warwalker, while Hyun, Hana, and Tai descended into the maintenance tunnels with Lyra as their guide. The narrow passages were dark and claustrophobic, but they pressed forward. Above them, they could hear the sounds of the Warwalker moving. Jin opened fire first, his heavy weapon sending rounds into the walker's leg joints. Sparks flew, but the armor held. The walker turned toward him, its weapons coming online with a threatening hum. Yin ran, and the walker followed exactly as planned. Yuna fired from her position, her shots targeting the walker's sensor array. Glass shattered. Cameras went dark. The walker stumbled slightly, partially blinded. It fired back, but Yuna was already moving to a new position. She fired again, hitting a different sensor cluster. Kai ran beneath the walker's legs, sliding in the low gravity like he was skating on ice. He planted charges on the joints, small but powerful explosives placed exactly where they would do the most damage. The walker pilot never saw him. By the time the pilot realized what happened, Kai was already clear. Charges set, Kai reported. Might want to cover your ears. The explosions were precise and devastating. The walker's left leg seized up. Servos and hydraulics destroyed. The massive machine stumbled, trying to compensate. Jin and Yuna continued their harassment, keeping the pilot focused on them instead of the hostages. In the maintenance tunnels below the central dome, Hyun's group reached their destination. Through a grate in the floor, they could see the hostages huddled together. Guards patrolled the perimeter, and on a raised platform stood Warlord Kraxus himself holding a detonator device. He has the trigger, Hana whispered. Even if I disable the main system, he can still manually detonate. Then we take the trigger from him, Hyun said simply. He is 3 meters tall and built like a tank, Tae pointed out. That will not be easy. Nothing about this mission has been easy, Hyun replied. Why start now? Lyra looked at the 3 humans preparing to take on a warlord who had terrorized entire star systems. The Valerian should have been terrified for them. Instead, Lyra felt something else. Hope. These humans had done impossible things all night. Maybe they could do one more impossible thing. Above ground, the Warwalker was in trouble. It could barely move with its damaged leg. Its sensors were mostly destroyed. But it was not finished. The pilot opened fire with everything, saturating the area with explosive rounds. Jin dove behind cover as the ground erupted around him. Yuna rolled away from a massive explosion, feeling the heat even through her armor. Kai saw his opportunity. With the walker distracted and immobile, he could get to the pilot compartment. He ran forward, using the low gravity to leap impossible. The Silent Dawn dropped out of quantum slip at the edge of the Talus 7 system. The small moon hung in space like a gray pearl, its surface marked with deep canyons and mining operations. Somewhere down there, 3,000 civilians were counting the hours until their execution. Yun stood in the cockpit, watching the moon grow larger as they approached. His team was behind him, each member checking their equipment one final time. They had trained for this. They had planned for this. Now it was time to execute. Insertion in 15 minutes, the ship's computer announced. Everyone ready? Hyun asked without turning around. 5 voices answered in unison. Ready? In the council observation room, Thora and the other observers watched nervously. The humans were about to attempt something that seemed completely insane. They would jump from orbit, falling through space and atmosphere at speeds that would kill most species. The council observers had asked about landing vehicles. The humans had simply said they did not need any. Insertion point confirmed, Hana said from her station. Landing zone is clear. No enemy patrols in that sector. Good, Hyun said. Remember the plan. We move fast, we move silent. We save everyone. Understood? Understood, the team replied. The Silent Dawn reached optimal altitude. The airlock opened. Cold air rushed into the ship as the pressure equalized. One by one, the 6 members of Omega Team stepped to the edge of the airlock and jumped. The council observers gasped. The humans fell like stones, their bodies accelerating toward the moon's surface. They were thousands of meters up. The fall would generate incredible G-forces. Any normal species would black out or die, but these were not normal species. These were humans from Earth, a high-gravity death world where evolution had built them to survive extremes. They fell through the thin atmosphere, their suits protecting them from the cold and radiation. At the last possible moment, their chutes deployed. The sudden deceleration would have broken bones in most aliens. The humans landed running. They are insane, one observer said, watching the feed. Completely insane. They are alive, Thora corrected. And they are already moving. On the surface of Talos 7, Omega Team regrouped quickly. The canyon stretched around them, walls of gray rock reaching toward the dark sky. The colony was 15 kilometers away, hidden beyond several ridges. They had to cover that distance without being detected. Hana, status on enemy sensors? Hyun asked quietly. Nothing in this area. They are focused on the colony itself. They do not expect anyone to approach on foot from this distance. Then let us move. Standard patrol formation. Yuna, take point. Yuna moved ahead of the group, her steps silent despite the rough terrain. She could see in the darkness better than the others, her eyes adjusted to low light. She had trained in worse conditions. Behind her, the team moved like shadows, spreading out enough to avoid being hit by a single attack but close enough to support each other. They moved fast. Faster than any council observer expected. The humans covered ground at a pace that would exhaust most species within minutes, but they maintained it for hour after hour, crossing the rough terrain as if it were a smooth road. Their stamina was extraordinary. How are they doing this? An observer asked in disbelief. They have been moving at high speed for 2 hours without stopping. They are from a high-gravity world, Thora explained, beginning to understand. This moon has low gravity. To them, this is easy. They are barely trying. After 3 hours, Yuna raised her fist. The team stopped instantly, dropping into cover positions. She had seen something ahead. Using hand signals, she communicated what she found. Patrol. 2 guards. 300 meters ahead, Hyun considered the situation. They could avoid the patrol by going around, but that would add time. They could also eliminate the patrol, but that would alert the enemy eventually when the guards did not report in. He made a decision. They would watch and wait to see if there was something more important nearby. Yuna crawled forward silently until she had a clear view. Through her scope, she could see the 2 guards clearly, but she also saw something else. Behind the guards was a small structure, and in front of that structure was a Valerian. The crystalline being was on its knees, and one of the guards was striking it with a metal rod. Yuna's finger moved to her trigger. She waited for the order. Yun saw what she saw through the shared video feed. His jaw tightened. They were supposed to stay hidden until the main assault. But he would not watch an innocent person be tortured when he could stop it. He clicked his communication twice. The signal for engage, Yuna's rifle made almost no sound. The suppressor reduced the shot to a soft cough. The first guard fell with a hole through his head, dead before he hit the ground. The second guard started to turn, confused. He never completed the turn. Jin appeared from the shadows like a ghost, his hands moving in a blur. The guard dropped silently. The team moved forward quickly. Tay reached the Valerian first. The small crystalline being looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. Its body was cracked in several places, leaking a fluid that served as its blood. "It is okay," Tay said gently, kneeling down. "We are here to help. We are going to get everyone out." The Valerian stared at the human. Its translator device worked slowly. "You are human?" "The Deathworlders?" "Yes," Tay admitted. "But we are the good kind of Deathworlders, the kind who help people. My name is Lyra," the Valerian said weakly. "I am an engineer. They captured me 3 days ago. They made me show them the mining tunnels. Lyra, I need to treat your injuries," Tay said, already pulling out his medical supplies. "This might hurt, but I promise I will be gentle." Hyun approached while Ty worked. "Lyra, we need information. Can you tell us about the layout of the colony? Are there areas the mercenaries do not patrol?" Lyra's crystalline body seemed to brighten slightly as hope returned. "Yes, the old maintenance tunnels. They are very small, too narrow for most species. But humans might fit. They lead directly under the central dome where the hostages are held." "Can you show us?" Hyun asked. "I can guide you there. But please, you must save everyone. Kraxus said he will start killing people in 18 hours if the council does not pay." "We will save them," Hyun promised. "All of them." The team incorporated Lyra into their formation. Tay stayed close to the injured engineer, ready to help if needed. Lyra led them through canyon passages that avoided the main mercenary patrols. The Valerian knew this moon better than anyone. These were the tunnels where Lyra had worked for years before the attack. As they moved, Lyra watched the humans with amazement and fear. They moved through darkness without difficulty. They climbed rock faces that seemed impossible. They carried heavy equipment as if it weighed nothing. Everything Lyra had heard about Deathworlders seemed true. But they were also careful with Lyra, making sure the engineer could keep up, protecting the Valerian from any danger. After another hour, they reached a position overlooking the colony. Yuna set up her rifle on a ridge, scanning the entire facility through her scope. She counted guards, noted patrol patterns, identified defensive positions. Everything was exactly as Hana's intelligence had predicted. "Hana, can you access their communications from here?" Hyun asked. "Already in," Hana replied, her fingers moving rapidly over her tablet. They are relaxed, confident. They do not think anyone is coming. They think the council is too afraid to send help. "They are wrong," Kai said with a cold smile. "Very wrong." Hyun pulled up the holographic map on his wrist display. He marked 6 target locations. "Here is the plan. We split into 3 pairs. Yuna and Kai, you take the communications tower and the automated defense turrets. Disable them all. Hana and Tay, you infiltrate the command center and find those explosives. Disable the dead man switch if there is one. Jin and I will take the power station and the main armory. When all 6 targets are hit, we regroup at the central dome for hostage rescue." "Timing?" Yuna asked. "Simultaneous strikes at exactly 0400 hours. That gives us 3 hours to get into position. We strike fast, we strike hard, and we do not stop until everyone is safe." "What about me?" Lyra asked quietly. "You stay here where it is safe," Tay said gently. "We need you alive to show us those maintenance tunnels after we secure the surface." "But I want to help," Lyra protested. "You already have helped," Hyun assured the engineer. "You have given us information that will save lives. That is the biggest help possible." The team synchronized their chronometers. They checked their weapons one last time. They looked at each other, no words needed. They had been through impossible situations before. They would get through this one too. "Move out," Hyun ordered. The 3 pairs split up, moving in different directions toward their targets. They became shadows in the darkness, invisible to the mercenary patrols, silent as death itself. The Krenth Syndicate had 400 armed soldiers, automated defenses, and fortified positions. They thought they were untouchable. They were about to learn why humans were called Deathworlders. Yuna and Kai reached the communications tower first. It stood 200 meters tall, a metal structure covered with sensor arrays and communication dishes. Guards patrolled the base, but they were bored and lazy. They did not expect any threats. "I count 8 guards," Yuna whispered. "I can take 6 from here. You handle the other 2 when they come to investigate." The silent dawn cut through space at incredible speed. Inside the ship, the 6 members of Omega Team prepared for their mission. They had 34 hours before reaching Talus 7. To them, that was plenty of time. Back on the council station, Representative Thora and several other council members gathered in the observation room. They had been given access to monitor the human team remotely. Most species in the council had never actually seen humans in person. They only knew the stories and the classification reports. Deathworlders. The word itself sounded frightening. They look so small, one observer said, watching the holographic feed. Are we sure they can do this? Thora studied the screens carefully. The humans did look relatively small compared to many galactic species, but there was something about the way they moved. Something that made her nervous even through a video feed thousands of light years away. Let us watch and see, she said quietly. On the silent dawn, Hyun gathered his team for planning. They sat around a table with a holographic display showing the Talis 7 colony. The layout was complex. The mercenaries had fortified 6 key positions and placed guards throughout the facility. The hostages were being held in the central dome. Hana, what do we know about their security? Hyun asked. Hana pulled up data on her tablet. I am already inside their communication network. They think their encryption is good, but it is basic stuff. I can listen to everything they say. I can also see their security camera feeds. Good. Yuna, what about approach vectors? Yuna highlighted areas on the map. The colony is in a canyon system. Lots of cover. We can drop here 15 kilometers out and move in on foot. They will not see us coming, Kai laughed. 15 kilometers? Before breakfast? Easy. In the council observation room, the observers looked confused. 15 kilometers was a significant distance. Most species would need vehicles for that kind of travel, especially on a low-gravity moon. One observer made a note to ask about human transportation plans. They must be joking, another observer said. Surely they have vehicles. Back on the silent dawn, the team continued planning for another hour. Then Hyun called for a rest period. Everyone get some sleep. 4 hours, then we train. The council observers watched in fascination as the humans settled down to sleep. 4 hours? Most species needed at least 8 hours of rest for proper function. Some needed 12. 4 hours seemed dangerously insufficient. When the 4 hours ended, all 6 humans woke up immediately. No grogginess, no slow awakening. One moment they were asleep, the next they were alert and moving. It seemed unnatural. What happened next shocked the observers completely. The humans began training. Not gentle exercise, not stretching. They began fighting each other with full intensity. Yun and Jin sparred with hand-to-hand combat that would have hospitalized most species. Their strikes were fast and powerful. When Jin swept Hyun's legs, the captain hit the floor hard, rolled, and was back on his feet in one smooth motion. Yuna and Hana practiced disarming techniques. Even though Yuna was clearly more experienced, she did not hold back. Hana took several hard hits but kept getting back up, learning from each mistake. Kai and Tae worked on close-quarters combat in confined spaces, moving at speeds that seemed impossible in the ship's narrow corridors. This is madness, a council observer said. They are injured. Look, that one is bleeding. Indeed, Kai had a split lip from where Tae had accidentally hit him during a drill. Kai wiped the blood away and laughed. Nice shot. You are getting faster. They are not even stopping, Thora said quietly. They are injured, and they continue training as if nothing happened. The training session lasted 2 hours. By the end, all 6 humans were sweating and breathing hard. Then they ate their meal. The council observers watched in horror as the humans consumed foods that would be toxic to most galactic species.
High protein?
High calories. Foods that came from animals. Many species in the galaxy were horrified by the concept of eating meat. Barbarians, someone muttered in the observation room. But Thora noticed something else. Despite the intense training and the rough food, the humans seemed relaxed. They joked with each other. They smiled. Kai told a story that made everyone laugh. Tae checked on a bruise forming on Hana's arm with gentle concern. These were not mindless warriors. They cared about each other. After the meal, the team returned to mission planning. Hana displayed new intelligence she had gathered from the Krenth communication networks. Their leader is called Warlord Kraxus. He is reptilian species, very large, very dangerous. He has a bad reputation across the galaxy. He has killed civilians before on other raids. What about the hostages? Hyun asked. They are all in the central dome now. The mercenaries have moved them there to use as shields. They know someone might come. They have also rigged the dome with explosives. If they lose control, they will blow up everything. Jin made a low sound. Cowards. Using innocent people as shields. We will not let that happen, Hyun said firmly. Hana, can you access their explosive systems? Maybe I need to get closer. Their demolition systems are on a separate network, not connected to the main communications. I would need physical access. Then we get you physical access, Hyun said. He studied the map again. Here is what we will do. He outlined a plan that made the council observers very nervous. The team would split into 3 pairs. Each pair would have different objectives. They would strike 6 targets simultaneously to disable the mercenary defenses. Then they would rescue the hostages. It was complex and required perfect timing. There are 400 enemies, one council observer said. They are planning to split up? This is suicide. But Thora was beginning to understand something. She had been watching these humans for hours now. She saw how they moved, how they thought, how they worked together. They were not worried about the odds because they had trained for exactly this kind of situation. Representative Thora decided to speak with the team directly. She opened a communication channel. Hyun's face appeared on her screen, calm and confident. Captain Hyun, this is Representative Thora of the Galactic Council. I wanted to check on your progress. We are on schedule, Representative. We will reach Talos 7 in 30 hours. Captain, may I ask you something?
Why are you doing this?
You do not know the Valerians. You have never met them. Why risk your lives for strangers? Hyun was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was steady. Because someone has to. Because those people did nothing wrong and they need help. Because we have been the ones who needed saving before. We know what it is like to be helpless and afraid. If we can stop that for someone else, we should. Thora felt something shift in her understanding. She had been wrong about humans. They were dangerous, yes. They came from a harsh world that had made them strong and tough. But that same harsh world had also taught them the value of protecting those who could not protect themselves. The Council has been afraid of your people, Thora admitted. We have kept you isolated because we did not understand you. Fear is natural, Hyun said. We understand. But we hope this mission will show you that we are not your enemies. We want to be your friends. We want to help. After the communication ended, Thora turned to the other observers. I think we have made a mistake about Earth. These humans are not monsters. They are protectors. They are still dangerous, another observer said. Yes, Thora agreed. But dangerous to whom? Not to the innocent. Not to those who need help. They are only dangerous to those who hurt others. Perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs. On the silent dawn, Yuna sat in the quiet observation area, looking at the stars. She was calibrating her rifle, making tiny adjustments to the scope. Tay joined her, sitting down quietly. Nervous? He asked. Always, Yuna admitted. 3,000 lives depending on us. 400 enemies. A lot can go wrong. But it will not, Tay said with confidence. We have Hyun. We have each other. We have done this before. Not at this scale. True. But that just means we will be remembered longer when we succeed. Yuna smiled slightly. When, not if. Never if. Tay agreed. Jin worked alone in the armory, preparing his equipment. Every weapon checked. Every charge measured precisely. Every piece of gear tested and ready. He did not believe in luck. He believed in preparation. When the moment came, he would be ready. Hana sat in front of her computer screens, lines of code flowing past. She was deep in the Krenth networks now, invisible and silent. She could see their patrol schedules, their weapon inventories, their defensive positions. She was learning everything about them. When the time came to strike, she would know exactly where to hit them. Kai found Hyun alone in the command center, studying the holographic map again. Having second thoughts, Captain? Always, Hyun admitted. But we will not let that stop us. 400 to 6. Could be worse. How? Could be 401. Hyun actually laughed. Get some rest, Kai. We reach Talos 7 in 28 hours. And then? Then we show the galaxy what humans can do. The Silent Dawn continued its journey through space, carrying 6 warriors toward an impossible mission. Behind them, the Galactic Council watched and waited. Ahead of them, 3,000 innocent people prayed for salvation. And on Talos 7, 400 mercenaries had no idea that death was coming for them on silent wings. The emergency signal came through every communication channel in the Galactic Council at once. The message was desperate and terrifying. 3,000 innocent people were about to die and no one could save them. Representative Thora stared at the holographic display in the council chamber. Her blue skin turned pale as she read the report again. The Valerian colony on Talos 7 had been attacked by mercenaries. The Krenth Syndicate had taken over the mining moon completely. They were holding everyone hostage and demanding payment in rare crystals. If the council did not pay within 72 hours, they would start killing civilians. The problem was simple but terrible. The council's military forces were 7 weeks away from Talos 7. The Valerians were peaceful people who could not fight back. Their bodies were made of delicate crystalline material that broke easily. Violence would destroy them. They had no weapons and no soldiers. They were miners and scientists and families. They needed help now, not in 7 weeks. Thora looked around the council chamber. Representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in their seats, talking nervously among themselves. Everyone knew what this meant. The Krenth Syndicate was brutal and famous across the galaxy. They would absolutely kill those hostages. They had done it before on other worlds. "We must do something," said the Raxian ambassador, slamming his clawed hand on his console. "We cannot let this happen." "But what can we do?" another representative asked. "Our forces are too far away. Even our fastest ships cannot reach Talos 7 in time." The chamber fell silent. 3,000 lives hung in the balance, and the most powerful organization in the galaxy was helpless. Thora felt sick to her stomach. She had joined the council to help people, to prevent exactly this kind of tragedy. Now she could only watch while innocent civilians died. Then she remembered something. Her assistant had mentioned it last week during a briefing. There was one military force close enough to respond in time. One group of soldiers who could reach Talos 7 within the deadline. But the very thought of calling them made her species equivalent of blood run cold. "There is one option," Thora said quietly. The chamber went silent. Everyone turned to look at her. Earth is only 34 hours away from Talos 7. The reaction was immediate. Half the chamber erupted in shouting. Some representatives stood up in protest. Others looked terrified. A few simply shook their heads in disbelief. "The Deathworlders?" someone shouted. "You want to send the Deathworlders?" "They are too dangerous," another said. "We cannot control them. What if they make things worse?" A third voice added. "Humans are violent. Everyone knows this." Thora raised her hand for silence. "I know what Earth is classified as. I know humans come from a dangerous planet. But they are also the only ones who can help. We have 72 hours. Do we have any other choice?" The council argued for another hour. Finally, they voted. The decision was close, but they agreed. They would ask Earth for help. They would contact the human military and request immediate assistance. What other choice did they have? The message was sent through quantum communications. It reached Earth's Deep Space Command within minutes. Admiral Park read the distress call 3 times to make sure he understood it correctly. The Galactic Council, which had kept humanity at arm's length for 15 years, was now begging for help. Park smiled grimly. He had warned them this would happen someday. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and peaceful species needed protectors. Whether the Council wanted to admit it or not, humans were the best protectors available. He pressed a button on his desk. "Get me Omega Team. Full mission brief in 20 minutes. Tell them it's a hostage rescue." Across the military base, 6 people received the alert on their communication devices. Each of them stopped what they were doing and headed immediately to the briefing room. They had trained together for 5 years. They had completed 27 missions together, each one supposedly impossible. They trusted each other with their lives. Captain Hune arrived first. He was 34 years old with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had been a soldier for 12 years and a Special Forces operative for 8. He moved with quiet confidence, the kind that came from knowing exactly what he could do. Lieutenant Kai came next, grinning as always. He was the team's demolitions expert and second in command. He had a talent for making things explode at exactly the right moment. He was also the only person who could make Hyun smile during a mission briefing. Sergeant Yuna walked in silently as she always did. She was the team's sniper and reconnaissance specialist. She could hit a target from over a kilometer away and could hide in places that seemed impossible. She was patient and deadly, a dangerous combination. Corporal Tay entered carrying his medical kit. He was the team's medic, but that did not mean he was not dangerous. Tay knew the human body better than anyone. He knew how to heal it and how to shut it down instantly. His gentle nature hid a warrior's skill. Specialist Hana hurried in last, tablet in hand, already reading mission data. At 26, she was the youngest team member. She was a technical genius who could hack into any computer system. If it had electronics, Hana could control it. Sergeant Jin sat down without saying anything. He rarely spoke, but when he did, everyone listened. He was the heavy weapons specialist, strong enough to carry equipment that would break most people's backs. He was solid and dependable, exactly what every team needed. Admiral Park entered and brought up a holographic display. It showed the Talos 7 moon and the Valerian colony. Red markers indicated enemy positions. There were a lot of red markers. Omega Team, you have a mission. 400 armed mercenaries have taken over this colony. They are holding 3,000 civilians hostage. The Galactic Council's forces cannot arrive in time. You are the only option. Can you do this? Hyun looked at his team. He saw their faces, calm and ready. They had beaten worse odds before. Not by much, but they had done it. When do we leave, sir? Hyun asked. 30 minutes. Your ship is being prepped now. You have 68 hours to reach the target, plan your assault, and save 3,000 lives. Park paused. The whole galaxy is watching this one. Do not let them down. Do not let those civilians down. Hyun stood and saluted. His team stood with him. We will bring them home, sir. As they left the briefing room and headed to the hangar, Kai spoke quietly. 400 enemies, 6 of us. I have had worse Tuesday afternoons. Yuna smiled slightly. Those mercenaries have no idea what is coming for them. The silent dawn waited in the hangar, its black hull absorbing light like a predator in the shadows. The team boarded quickly and efficiently. Within minutes, the ship launched and entered quantum slip, racing toward Talos 7 at speeds that would crush most alien species. Behind them, Admiral Park watched the ship disappear into space. He had sent 6 humans to do the impossible, but if anyone could do it, Omega Team could. They were, after all, from Earth. They were Deathworlders, and the galaxy was about to learn what that really meant.